Do you want to fight like Adesanya?
Some misses out of Whitaker here early on, as there might be some of that.
Today, we're going to do a breakdown of his offense, defense, and IQ. This is video 2 of the series, so I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. Adesanya is primarily a kickboxer and uses traits from Muay Thai, and he gets really creative with his feints and kicks. He is an outside fighter and an inside fighter, and we'll go over that in just a minute. So when it comes down to it, he is one of the most exciting and creative strikers of all time. In the octagon, he is always moving and feinting, and this ensures keeping his opponents always guessing. It's hard to predict what's coming next when he's always switching up his patterns and timing. His explosive ability to mix up combos and maintain pressure made him a fierce and dangerous opponent in the octagon. Another thing is, most fighters like to choose to be an inside striker or an outside striker. Adesanya, on the other hand, has shown that whether he's on the inside or the outside, he's comfortable with being on the offensive. Adesanya's movement and footwork in the ring is very important. He is always jumping around, switching patterns, and feinting. This makes him very unpredictable, and well, a moving target is a hard target. While he is also a very nimble fighter, he is very good at holding his ground and staying sturdy while moving around the ring. He uses a wider stance and uses those feints down low with knees and kicks. This guy, if you kind of think about it and squint a little, it's kind of like a new age Bruce Lee. He kind of moves with the same mannerisms and silhouette. Okay, so now we're going to talk about his strength. His strength is often an underestimated factor to his success. Like Bruce Lee, he had a smaller frame, but his strength comes from more than just raw power. He uses it very strategically and is very technical, making his strength more efficient and effective. For him, it wasn't just about pure brute force. His ability to get reactions out of his opponents using feints and fakes was almost to perfection. Any fight of his that you watch, his opponents are jittery and on edge. So while he is not this massive powerhouse, he uses his IQ and mastery of his body to do the most damage possible with his frame. Now we'll talk about the ground game. Adesanya's ground game is often viewed through the lens of his striking background, which often leads to his strengths and weaknesses in grappling. Offensively, Adesanya's ground game is characterized by his selective engagement. Rather than aggressively pursuing submissions, he prefers to use his striking to capitalize and maintain control. His long reach and precise striking allows him to keep his opponents on the defensive, even on the ground, rather than overextending into areas where he may be less proficient. His training with high-level grapplers has enhanced this part of his game, making his offense on the ground more about dominance and punishing mistakes rather than traditional grappling. Alright guys, so it's a new day. We jumped inside. So, as for the defense, Israel Adesanya's defensive capabilities are key to his fighting style, making him one of the most elusive and difficult fighters to hit clearly in the UFC. His defense is primarily built on his exceptional footwork and distance management, which allows him to control the pace and range of the fight. Adesanya's ability to read his opponent's movements and anticipate attacks is a testament to his high fight IQ. He often uses subtle feints and head movements to lure his opponents into overcommitting openings for him to come back with counter strikes. This defensive mastery was on full display in his fights against dangerous strikers like Paulo Costa and Robert Whitaker, where Adesanya's evasiveness and ability to stay out of harm's way was a crucial role played in his victories. Another key element of Adesanya's defense is the utilization of the cage and the angles. By constantly circling and using lateral movements, Adesanya forces his opponents to chase him, which often leads to them becoming frustrated and making mistakes. This movement allows him to stay out of the direct line of fire while also putting himself in position to counter-strike when his opponent moves in. His defensive strategies extend far beyond just the ability to avoid strikes. He is also adept at minimizing damage when under pressure. Whether it's rolling punches, deflecting kicks, or using his arms to block, he rarely absorbs clean shots. He never gets hit clearly. He stays calm under pressure, and that's really the key to his defense and why he's able to remain energized and not get tired over long periods of time. Okay, now we're gonna go over the IQ. His IQ is something that separates him from the rest of the pack. You got 300 guys in the UFC, and he's like top 5 because of his IQ, because of the way he moves around the ring and uses his brain to win his fights. He has this ability to really pay attention to all the little details during a fight, and he's playing chess with his opponent even under the pressure of a fight. His IQ is what allows him to really dictate the rhythm and tempo of a fight, and that gives him the control over his opponent. He is much more a mental fighter than he is just a brute force fighter. For example, in his rematch with Robert Whittaker, he knew that his opponent was going to come at him with a different game plan due to their previous encounter, and he countered the plan that was supposed to be countering his plan. Israel Adesanya's IQ is the root of his offense and defense. The reason that he is a top level fighter in the UFC is because he is so smart. For all of you at home watching who may think that you may be too small to get into a boxing or UFC or MMA, maybe just work on your strategic advances and your ability to outthink people while in the ring. Let me know in the comments who you want to see next, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.